Good morning. My name is Joy Lorette, and I'm a business development specialist with the Food and Agri-Product Processing Branch of Agriculture and Resource Development.
Good morning. How is everybody today? I hope we're all having a lovely day. I would like to thank the Department of Agriculture for the privilege of presenting to you all today on the Safe Food for Canadians regulations. And I'd like to thank you all for giving me the time of your time today to listen. I've assisted many people with navigating through the new CFIA process, and I've learned a few tips and tricks along the way, so I hope to pass those on to you today. It seems overwhelming. So for about the last 20 years, CFIA has been telling us what we need to do to keep our food safe. The programs they put forth were very prescriptive. The new Safe Food for Canadians Act is quite the opposite, and I will show you and will allow for many small businesses who before could not meet the requirements of federal licensing to become licensed to produce and distribute their products across Canada and even beyond our borders. With change comes fear. Humans really are creatures of habit, and we don't do well with change. So the first step is to accept the changes have occurred. Whether you like it or not, January 15th, 2019, the Safe Food for Canadians Act became law. We now need to abide by these regulations. So set aside some time to go through the Act, the regulations, and the CFIA website. There are plenty of tools to assist you. You need to set aside a couple of hours in the day to focus on SFCA licensing and figure out how the new Act and regulations affect your food business. A lot of times we're our own worst enemies. So if you think you can or you think you can't, you're likely right. We convince ourselves that something's going to be difficult or we resent the fact that we have to change from our regular scheduled programming. You need to treat the Safe Food for Canadians Act like a dentist appointment. It might not be something that you look forward to, but for the benefit of your health and wellness, it's something that you need to do. So for the benefit and wellness of your business, you need to determine how the Safe Food for Canadians Act and regulations will impact you. Be kind to yourself. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. Make an appointment with yourself and set aside the time it takes to determine what you need to do and how to get it done. If you're in any way like me, you've been dreading having to make changes and complaining that it needed to be done. I think I actually spent more time complaining and dreading than it took to figure things out. So a little bit of advice, just do it. Get it over with. It's not as hard as you've been making it out to be. You just got to bite the bullet and do it. So that's enough for the motivational speaking, and on with the show. So step one, what does my business need? Before you start, you need to figure out what you need to do. So for your first step, you need to go to the My CFIA website. So once you get onto this page, you're going to scroll to the very bottom of the page, and it says, with this lovely picture of the blueberries and the salmon, it says Safe Food for Canadians Regulations. So you're going to click on that, and this lovely screen will come on. And what you want to do is you want to click on the Toolkit for Businesses. I know this is hard to see. I'm even having trouble seeing it right now. Getting started, Toolkit for Businesses. That's this one right here. So you're going to click on that tab, and you're going to come up with this lovely screen. So this screen will help you find out if your business requires a license, traceability records, or preventative controls and preventative control plan. This page will give you access to the licensing interactive tool, the traceability interactive tool, the preventive control plan interactive tool. Okay, and we're going to quickly go through the licensing interactive tool. All of these tools send you to the same timelines and timetables. So you'll get the timetable for everything at the end. So you can read through this page and see if any of the exemptions applied for you, but for most people, this is just blah, blah, blah. So you can just go ahead and click on the arrow to proceed to the next page. Here's where you need to start reading and answering questions. At the top, it does indicate that more than one activity may apply. One thing that I've found that confuses a lot of people are the terms interprovincial and intra-provincial. Interprovincial is conveyance from one province to another, so that's making product for sale and distribution outside of your province. Intra-provincial is within the province. Export and import refer to conveyance out of and into Canada, so that's out of the country, not out of your province. So at the top, it does indicate that more than one activity may apply. So you're going to go ahead and you're going to check off all the sections that you feel apply to your business, and then again proceed by clicking the blue arrow. So what I've done is I've selected send or convey from one province to another. You manufacture, process, treat, preserve, grade, package, or label food to be sent or conveyed from one province to another. Here again, it will ask you more about what kind of product you're preparing. Food products fit into most food products fit into the all other foods category. This is the selection most people will choose. So the all other food. The other options, one is for making alcoholic beverages and food additives. So that's if you're doing a vitamin or mineral supplement that was an ingredient for a food. And unprocessed foods set out in Schedule 1, they're talking about things like grains and oil seeds, bulk product that's really minimally processed or unprocessed. So at this slide, you want to make sure that you select all other food and then hit that lovely blue button again to move forward. So once you've selected all other food, another box appears telling that you and to continue to the rest of the page, determine when you'll need to obtain a license. Okay, so telling you that you indicated that you manufacture, process, treat, preserve, grade, package, or label food to be sent from one province to another. So you collected all other food, and now it's telling you that you indicated that you've done all this stuff. Now you get the results. So you'll get the results from all the selections that you made on the previous pages. Then it will be completed by giving you a summary of your results. Again, click the blue arrow. So you want to click this lovely blue arrow again. And so here it confirms, yes, you need a license. There's links to the timetables at the bottom of the page. So all of these timetables give you timetables for different commodities of food. Most of the commodities that are listed here, so dairy, fish, food animals and meat products, fresh fruit or vegetables, honey and honey products. Here's your unprocessed foods that was in the list a couple slides ago. Food additives and alcoholic beverages, that's another one, and all other food. So most of these categories, except for all other food, required that the license for interprovincial trade, you had to have a license by July 15th of last year, unless it's a new license that you're applying for. These commodities were all previously required to be registered by CFIA, and if the products were sold interprovincially. So for simplicity, I'm going to choose all other food, as that's what's most likely going to apply to everyone. So here's that lovely timetable. So the timetables are actually for 4 different requirements. They're for licensing, preventive control plan, preventive controls, and traceability. So those are the requirements that the Safe Food for Canadians Act is asking of people. So if you manufacture, process, treat, preserve, grade, package, and label food for interprovincial trade, for all other food, you're required to be licensed by July 15th, 2020. That's when you're required to license. If you only conduct interprovincial trade, so you're not making the food, you're just transporting it from one province to another, you're not required to be licensed. If you manufacture, process, treat, preserve, grade, package, or label food for export, so out of the country, you're required to have a license by July 15th, 2020, or sooner if you need an export permission from CFIA. So some countries will require an export permission, and some companies will ask for export permission in order for you to export your food to them. So that's what they're talking about there. Now, if you only export the food, so you're not making it, you're just exporting it, it's not required, again, unless you need that export certificate. Okay, so that's for licensing. For preventive control plans, there are many circumstances where a company may not need to address one or more of these requirements. So you have to look, again, these are what you're doing. You have to look at whether or not you need to have a license, have a PCP, or have preventive controls. So preventive control plan is required by July 15th, 2020, only if your gross annual food sales are greater than $100,000 and if you have more than 4 employees. That's for July 15th, 2020. If your gross annual food sales are less than $100,000 and you have 4 employees or less, your timetable, your due date requirement is July 16th, 2021. You're not required to have a preventive control plan if your gross annual sales are $100,000 or less. So that just means, that doesn't mean you don't have to do what it says. It just means that you don't have to have it on paper. Okay, so the preventive controls, these are like your good manufacturing practices. Your preventive controls, if your gross annual food sales are greater than $100,000 and you have more than 4 employees, you're required to have your preventive controls in place by July 15th, 2020, so coming up. Again, if your gross annual food sales are under $100,000, or if you have less than 4 employees or less, then your due date moves to July 16th, 2021. But for traceability, everybody's required to have traceability by July 15th, 2020. So if you're only doing interprovincial trade, so you're not manufacturing anything, the requirement for licensing is gone. You don't require a preventive control plan and you don't require preventive controls. You just need to have traceability. If you're exporting, licensing requirement July 15th, 2020 or sooner, you're not required to have a preventive control unless you need export certificate or export permission. Your preventive controls, those are your GMPs, July 15th, 2020, if you're greater than $100,000, July 16th, 2021, if your gross annual sales are less than $100,000, or if you have 4 employees or less. And again, everybody needs to have traceability by July 15th, 2020. And if you're the sole activity is export, it's not required, and unless you're not required to have a license a preventive control plan, or preventive controls unless you need export permission, and your traceability is required. Excuse me. Your traceability is required by July 15th, 2020. So to create the first thing you're going to do now that you know what's required of you and your applicable deadlines, it's time to start on the licensing process. So you're going to go back to the My CFIA webpage and you're going to click on before you sign up for My CFIA. Before you sign up. You're going to get to this lovely page, and although this page looks like it's just a lot of blah, 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 there's important information as you go down this page, and you want to make sure that you prepare yourself to have all that information ready when you go to sign up. So you first need to create a contact profile. Your contact profile identifies you in the system and allows you to create services. So you're going to go to the sign-in page, and here you have to choose a sign-in method. So your sign-in partner or a GCKey. So you're going to provide your name and your email address. There are advantages to having a sign-in partner. You're using existing credentials. That you're already familiar with. You use them on a regular basis. It's convenience because you don't have to remember a new user ID and password. And none of the financial information that you have is going to be, or from the sign-in partner, is going to be communicated to the government service. The GCKey is actually my preferred method of signing in. It is a method, just a method of signing into the government website. So it'll assign you you'll assign your own username and password. I personally find the GCKey option has been the easiest for clients. With the sign-in partner, if you make changes to your banking information, your card gets lost or updated, you'll be required to make changes to your My CFIA sign-in. With a GCKey, as long as you record your username and password, it won't change unless you change it. So I really think your best bet is to go and use the GCKey. Just make sure you have a lovely little cheat book somewhere where you can write down your username and password so that you can always access your information. And that's all there is for signing up for a contact profile. Once you get your contact profile, then you're going to sign up for business use. So when you sign up, this information is important on this page, how to sign up for business use. You need to make sure you have all of this information with you, so you're not going to have to stop halfway through signing up and go back and get information that you require. So you're going to need your business number. I always tell people to print this out and put the information beside it. You're going to need your business number. Okay, that's a 9-digit business number. You're going to need your legal business name and a proof of authority form. So your proof of authority form you have to print out off of the computer, and you're going to have to scan back in. So it's an electronic form that the website will produce for you. You're going to put your name and other information in there, and then you're going to hit print. It'll print out a form for you that you're going to have to attach to your business use for your company profile. After you sign up for business use, you need to choose and assign contacts. Read through this page to familiarize yourself with the terminology and who you need to assign these responsibilities to. Note that each person you assign responsibilities to needs to have a contact profile. So after you sign up for business use, it's going to ask you who's your main profile contact and all of these lovely different questions. A lot of the time, if your business is really small, most of them are going to be you. I suggest that you have one other person that you can also have access the system. So get them to sign up for a contact profile and add them as one of your contacts. Now you're ready to sign up for an SFCA license. So are you ready to apply for an SFCA license? Go ahead. Once you have your contact profile and you've signed up for business use, you're ready to go. So you just have to scroll down to the bottom and find where you're ready to apply for your license, and you go ahead. Do you need to have a preventive controls and your preventive control plan ready before you apply for a license? If you're applying for your license before the required dates in that timetable, then you don't need to have the programs in place until the required date. Right now, there's a little bit of a lag because of COVID. CFIA, in some departments, they are coming out and doing inspections. In other departments, they are not. So you have to call your CFIA contact, just the main number, and they will put you through to somebody who will tell you whether they're doing inspections or not. Thank you for listening to me today, and I hope you have a lovely day.